We all set?
Yep.
Everyone, good day. I'm Mayor Tom Lozon. We are in the council chambers conducting this press conference so that we can answer a few questions, let our residents know what to expect in the coming days. I'm joined by Pam Wilson from Barre Up, Chief Keith Cushman, City Manager Nicholas Torilla Castro, and Public Works Director Brian Baker. Also here online is Councilor Sonia Spalding. In the council chambers, Council Michael Deering, Councilor Teddy Wazaszak, and Councilor Amanda Gusman. So as I said, purpose of this press conference is to talk a little bit about the event, things that occurred during the event, the city's response, but most importantly, to explain what you can expect from the city in the coming days as we continue to respond to this event, and also how we get assistance, how we get you assistance should you need it. So with that, Nicholas, if it's okay,
Sure.
I'm going to turn it right over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so we ended up at the high range of the forecast of rain. If folks remember, we were hoping for the 1 to 3 in this area. There were going to be pockets of 3 to 5, and we understand from weather experts that we ended up getting 4.7 inches. So we were at that high range of rain. It also came down very quickly, rapidly, in fast succession. So it, given the volume and that speed at which it hit the city, it overwhelmed some of our infrastructure of culverts that just couldn't keep up. I think we could probably all say here on the city staff side, we probably saw some more damage than we were hoping to see when the storm came because of the amount of water that we ended up getting and how quickly it arrived. But we were also, I think, count ourselves very fortunate because we had a lull in the weather in the evening, and the last wave of rain ended up not materializing the way it looked on the radar. And the way it did look on the radar did have us all quite concerned. So still a lot of damage, a lot of mud, a lot more mud than any of us wanted to see this morning. And we know that there's a lot of people who took on a lot of new damage to their properties, residential and commercial. So that's where we are. We've started to mobilize our response immediately. Brian's team on the public works side, their directive, and they're working great at it, is to, make the city forget that this event happened by getting rid of the mud. I think just even from a psychological standpoint, that's important, because today was a stark reminder coming into the city of, it was really close to last year, the optics of it. So I know Brian's team is doing great work. They were here last night, starting to get that going. They're going to be here tonight, continuing to do that. Chief Cushman's team ran the Emergency Operations Center last night with him as head of the running that center as Director of Emergency Management. They conducted some rescues that he can speak to, and they will now shift also to helping with some pump outs as resources permit. So that's where we are. And on the city side, just the whole team, we're working on debris removal. So we will be deploying some dumpsters around the city, just much like we did last year. Once those locations are identified, we will post it on public media and our website. We will be removing mud and silt that accumulated on residents' properties. We again ask people to get that to the curbside, so that we can't go onto your property to collect it, but we can come curbside and grab it. And our crews, they'll be doing it. It won't happen tomorrow. It might not happen Monday because Brian's team is working on a lot of high priority projects, but we will get it. So we encourage people to get it curbside and wait for our teams to come grab it. We are also under a boil water notice. We did this out of an abundance of caution. There was no water main break in the system. What we had was really high turbidity at the reservoir, and our team at the water treatment facility was great. They were able to isolate the issue, prevent that muddy water from getting into the system. So we already did sampling today, I understand, and we're expecting the test results. We have high confidence that the test results will allow us to lift the boil water notice. I reiterate, it's still active, it's still ongoing, so you should boil water, you should drink bottled water. When we lift the boil water notice, it will be done on our Facebook page, on our website, and through BT alerts. So we will make sure to let people know that we are in the process of waiting for water shipment to be received. We were expecting it today, it's not been told by the state it'll be here tomorrow. So we will, once that water supply is received, we will also post it on our Facebook website and through BT alerts. So And Brian and Chief, I don't know if there's anything else to add from your perspective, but I'll turn it briefly to either of you.
Just to reiterate that we are working tonight. We're gonna start cleaning the sidewalks and start sweeping down. We have help coming from a couple municipalities starting tomorrow. Extra sweepers from Montpelier and from Monday, starting from South Burlington. So got help from the other ones that helped us in the previous flood. So we do thank them in advance. So.
Do we have a question for you, Brian? Do we have a map of the streets that will be, or do we have an order rather, so that folks will know if they could not to park on the streets while we're trying to remove sediment?
We can work on something.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get something out.
Right now, it's only Main Street from Elm to Maple Avenue, so we're trying to focus on the core downtown. So we've extended, we've asked, a parking ban, we've asked people to respect it. We've extended it for another day through tomorrow, so that Brian's teams have more ready access to the curbs in the street to get the mud out. So
Yeah, and then an ongoing, I think the street closures will be almost rolling through the different streets that they're working on. So it won't be any major ones, but the actual streets that we'll work on, we will shut those down. So it'll be easier for the crews to work.
Great, thank you. Chief?
Yeah, just speaking about the response, we had some assets, some partners in the city to assist us in the way of urban search and rescue teams, one of which was from the state of Connecticut. Early estimates are 12 people that they removed via boat, and also the guards were in with high water trucks as well. That was an irreplaceable asset. They're able to access locations that our crews simply are not trained and equipped or staffed to do. So moving forward, as we begin to rebuild, we have state assets again in the way of the hazardous material team. We have representatives in the Emergency Operations Center that can offer guidance as needed, because floodwaters drum up all sorts of unknowns. And we also have a liaison from Vermont Emergency Management in the Emergency Operations Center as well. So I'll reiterate what's already been said. Please obey the barricades and the street closures, and make room for the crews to work safely. Do you want to talk about 211 at this point?
Please do.
Okay, so we just finally received notification from the state within the last half an hour that 211 is being stood back up and is active currently. 211 is going to be the number that you call to report any damage. When you call to report that damage, if you need assistance, the operator will direct you to call Crisis Cleanup, and I'll give you that phone number. It's 802-242-2054. And that's if you need assistance with muck outs, pump outs, or any other type of assistance. So please report that damage and report those needs. Crisis Cleanup then is a catch for all the different service groups and partners to go in and offer those much needed assistance.
Repeat those numbers one more
Absolutely.
time, because
Yep.
we will be putting this
Sure.
on.
To report the damage is 211, and then for access to Crisis Cleanup and requesting assistance is 802-242-2054.
So if a resident needed a basement pumped out, they would call 211 to report the damage.
Correct.
And then they would have to call that additional number in order to affect the basement pump out.
Yeah, and the call taker for 211 should be directing that person to Crisis Cleanup.
Okay, but they will have to make, if they need assistance, they will have to make 2 calls.
That is correct.
Okay, fantastic. And last but certainly not least, Pam Wilson,
Hi.
who was out in the very early morning hours, taking care of people and making sure that people got what they needed. So thank you for that.
And thank you to the city of Barre. Thank you for all of the residents who showed up to help. The volunteer mobilizations that took a few days to pull together last year took about 5 hours to pull together this flood. So I want to express such deep gratitude to everyone who was texting and reaching out to neighbors and helping each other over the course of the night, who was reaching out to the Barre Up board to let us know what was going to be needed in the morning. And this allowed us to get started at the crack of dawn. And what we saw today was we were able to have teams of volunteer labor in place to start cleaning things up in a way that residents express such gratitude for. I'm going to tell you to follow exactly what Chief Cushman's instructions were in terms of reporting damage to 211 and asking for help through crisis cleanup. Today, during the day, many people were contacting Barre Up directly. And what I'm going to ask is that when you communicate it to crisis cleanup, we get that information also. So the first earliest available group that can come and help you, that's going to be the most efficient way to get information to you. If we are going through all of the emails that came in to the info@barreup.org email address. If you emailed us today, we have your emails. There was a period of time where the number of calls that were coming in for people who would like to help and people who were seeking help did overwhelm our phone lines a little bit. So if we missed you, if you haven't heard back from us yet, and you have a discrete need, I'm going to ask you to call Crisis Cleanup at that phone number. We will have that information likely by tomorrow morning. And we are supporting our friends in smaller towns that have not dealt with this before with technical assistance and tips to help them mobilize their responses. And we are receiving help from other towns like Montpelier and Waterbury. There's a lot of aid that's going back and forth from flood impacted communities as we all learn how to do this together. So my deepest, deepest gratitude to everyone at this table. And I will reiterate, if you have a health or safety issue, if you have an emergency, you're going to call these guys. You're not going to call our personal cell phones in the middle of the night. Please utilize the first responders if you have any concerns about structural safety of buildings, if you have any concerns about medical issues, if there's anything that's scaring you overnight, please utilize our first responders. And non-emergency stuff, we'll be there for you in the morning.
Great. Thank you very much. Before we open it to questions, I just wanted to say a very sincere thank you. We, our state partners were absolutely incredible. Vermont Emergency Management, the Swiftwater Rescue Teams, and I can tell you this is the first time that I've worked with this particular team as a group. It was interesting. I had a few people call at 9:30 when I made the declaration of emergency, and they kept referring to it as my declaration of emergency. And I can tell you that that was a team decision, that a lot went into it. We take it very seriously. And that decision was made in consultation with the chief, the deputy chief, and the city manager. We made that decision together. It's ironic that the least qualified guy in the world actually gets to make the decision, but that's the way statutes work in Vermont. But here in Barre, we work as a team, and I have never been so proud to work alongside these gentlemen, everyone in the city. We were prepared, we were on point. The simple fact of the matter is we were at the mercy of Mother Nature. But you go home and you think, went home very late. As I said, our state partners were incredible. Secretary Joe Flynn from V-Trans met with me at 1 o'clock in the morning out and back to City Hall here. The governor was in constant contact with us well past midnight. And, you debrief, you think about the city's response, you think about, well, what could we have done better? And I really can't think of a whole lot we could have done better other than had more resources. I wish we'd had triple the number of DPW people, and I'm sure Nicholas does as well. But considering the resources that we work with here in the city, I am incredibly proud of our response, and I'm incredibly proud of how we are responding, especially your group, Pam, going forward and making sure that people have water, people have a roof over their head, and people who just need to talk. Pam made certain that there were mental health counselors available for folks who were experiencing anxiety or PTSD due to these events. So with that, happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the rescues a little bit? Like where they took place, how they took place, what the situation was that people were in?
Yeah, I think the water rose so quickly quickly. I think it was an oddity for us, the rate of rise. I don't think we've experienced the water rising that quickly, which caught the residents off guard as well. Some of them were at home, others were in vehicles that they drove into flooded waters, requiring the boats boats or the high water trucks to pull them to safety.
Have we got a total on that yet? I know.
The estimation was in the 12 range. Yeah. And there was more assistance from our folks that didn't include those partners. But the ones that what I'll call the high risk ones with rapid moving water was about 12.
For the city manager, you had mentioned that 4.7 inches of rain fell. Can you compare that to the storm from a year ago?
Last year was 7.8, I believe was the number we got last year. So it's lower. We were at 4.7 fairly early in the evening, if I recall correctly, and we were worried about that last strand getting us close to the 7 number. But luckily, that's where we caught the break. That the lull was long. It allowed the culverts to start working again and moving water out. And luckily, that last band of rain it materialized. It just wasn't as powerful as it looked on the radar.
It was fast. It was very fast. I mean, I first went home, checked with Nicholas, went home at around 6:30, figured I had to grab a bite. It was raining fairly hard. As I turn up my driveway, I turn past the Potash Brook, where the lieutenant governor drowned in 1927. And that's always been my canary in a coal mine. I've been through it in 2011, 2015, 2023. And there was 4 feet of room before the Potash Brook would breach the road. I was home for about 20 minutes. And I could hear the rain and just had an uneasy feeling about it. I knew the chief would be standing up the EOC. So I told Karen I'm going to wander down. And by the time I got to the end of the driveway, it was over the brook. So I went the rear way by Burnham Street, and the river was just breaching. That was probably around 7:30 or so. And, the river had breached at that point. And like I said, we observed, we talked, planned, and so finally at around 9:30, we declared the state of emergency. But it went down just as quickly as it went up. I mean, I think we were all saying prayers that last wave wouldn't materialize. And just after we made the declaration at around 9:30, the rain stopped, and it didn't really start up again until after midnight. And that was a godsend for the city. The river level went down just as quickly as it came up. It went down about 3 or 4 feet. And so when that last span finally did come through at around 1 o'clock or so, the water had plenty of place to go. Brian, could you speak to cleanup? Some of the, we've got dumpsters that we're going to be deploying for folks at different locations, and also folks, I've heard from folks who are, thankfully, the mud, the dam, we don't have the volume of mud that we had. There are a lot of people who don't have the means, and they're literally cleaning it up themselves by pushing it to the end of their driveway and pushing that half-inch or so of mud. And folks have said, am I, going to get in trouble if I do that? So
No, we're telling everyone to push it to the curb line and keep it out of the traveled way, of course, but you get it to the front of your property, to the curb line, and we will eventually come pick it up. One of the problems the guys are actually having up there today is it's a different type of mud than it was last time. Last time it was a lot denser and it was easier for our guys to scoop up. Today, it's staying, saturated and it's so wet that at the end of the day today, they end up just trying to push it all aside and letting it drain. And hopefully tomorrow morning they can hit it hard and then make some more headway on it. But trying to get the bulk of it out of the roads, so then when the sweepers do come in, that they can clean it and, put it back to the way it was. But right now, it's that soupy stuff is just very hard. They were having trouble, they get two bucket loads in the truck and it starts to run out around the tailgates, so. And if you go up Farwell Street, that new pavement looks like a mud road now. So, but that will all be cleaned.
Yeah, and the dumpsters, I can speak to that, working with the chief on those, and so those have been ordered. We're expecting them possibly delivered tomorrow.
That's correct.
And, once those are delivered, we'll have locations where, we'll plot on a map and residents can use them. We do ask, just to be respectful that these are resources we're deploying in response to an emergency. These are not to clean out your basement if you didn't get impacted. This is for people who had flood damage to their home or their property and their belongings. So we do ask people to respect that and only use them if they're getting rid of, disposing of flood damaged belongings.
Great. Anything else?
Before we go for questions, I would like to just thank our staff, citywide staff, to include Chief Vale's folks, the police department that's not here, but they were fantastic partners last week.
Yes.
How about slides this time? Were there any new ones, and did it affect the ones that were already approved?
It hasn't impacted the ones that were already known and remain sort of in a state of potential sliding. I know there was maybe one that was brought to your attention.
One that was brought to
minor.
yeah, it was a minor one, which, it's affecting a driveway and not any structures. So it's not there's no danger of life or anything, but it just need to be cleaned up for access.
And I just add that, one of the things we learned last year is that those issues don't always materialize right away. Sometimes they may take days or even weeks to fully materialize. So we just caution folks and encourage folks to have a heightened state of awareness. If they live in an area that was impacted by a slide last year, those conditions, what I'm saying is those conditions could change over the coming days, coming weeks. So we just ask that people, pay attention, be vigilant. And if you have any questions at all, just call Brian's office and they'll take good care of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to highlight a couple spaces around the city where residents will be able to pick up supplies as of tomorrow. The Barre Auditorium is being used as a shelter and will have food and water available tomorrow for residents. But also, if you are someone who has trouble, has mobility issues, has transportation issues, and you need something closer to your neighborhood, we will have several sites throughout the city. Starting in the north end, we will have a tent at the Dollar General ARCC parking lot, where we will be able to pick up supplies that, if you're in the north end, that will be the closest to you. If you are along the Main Street corridor, Rainbow Bridge will have supplies outside of their site. And if you are in the Courier Park or the Ward 1 area of town, the library lawn will be the space where there will be supplies available as of tomorrow. If you're a volunteer who's coming in to help, please wear strong shoes. Please wear long pants. Please come ready to protect yourself and take care of yourself as you are taking care of others. I would also want to remind everyone in terms of stress, overwhelm, what we've all just been through, Washington County Mental Health is still covered by the Vermont SOS, the SOS Vermont grant, which means that any resident within our infected towns are eligible for 3 to 5 sessions of mental health counseling at no cost to them at all. You can initiate that process through the end of the month. And so that's available for anyone who is struggling, who needs someone to talk to, or who's just feeling like it would be a good opportunity to have someone to unload on who's not a family member or a best friend or a neighbor. Sometimes that privacy, that ability to access mental health care is a life-preserving thing. So please do reach out. The Washington County Mental Health phone line is 802-229-0591. Thank you.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, we have been in contact with our local economic partners, Tracy from the Barre Partnership, May from Barre Area Development Corp. I'm not aware, I don't know if anyone else is, I'm not aware of any extended business closures. So, we're very pleased by that. There may be a few businesses out there that have to be closed for a day or two while they get things cleaned up a little bit, but I'm not aware of any, I don't know if you are either, Pam, of any serious damage or any extended business closures. So in that respect, we're grateful.
Yeah, we've heard, the latest we've heard from the partnership is that, as the mayor mentioned, maybe some limited operations for a day or two. But most, they've all had to expect to be back in business. So,
Great. So, over the, like I said, coming days, coming weeks, we will be advocating for resources. We'll be in constant contact with our state partners, working well together. Again, I am just so proud of this. And when I say this team, the entire team, because not everyone is here. Some folks are out there cleaning up as we speak. I'm just proud of the entire Barre City team and all of our partners. They're working together, working well together, and they're getting it done. So, any member of the council, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add, please do.
The Salvation Army at 6 o'clock will have 200 meals available with water at the North Barre Dollar General parking lot.
Thank you, Councilor Deere. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Teddy, Amanda?
Just to add, the
Sonia?
tents will be outside the Aldrich from 10 to 5 for the next.
10 to 5 outside the Eldridge. Thank you.
And if you are volunteering, that's going to be the easiest place to park that's not in the neighborhoods. It's wonderful if you can carpool in, so we have fewer cars moving up and down the streets, kicking mud up or dust up. Those folks will have the list of addresses that they can send you out to if you are showing up in town to help.
Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
There.